My phone nearly launched itself across the room. $115,000. I sputtered, disbelief lacing my voice. The audacity of Eliza, my younger sister by a heartbeat, was astounding. After everything, she had the nerve to ask for a 5-figure gift. For a baby? A cynical laugh escaped her lips, as if this were some playful sibling pranks. Blood is thicker than water, right? Arya, she coaxed, her voice dripping with sweetness. It's your niece or nephew. After all, I choked back a string of retorts. Eliza had always harbored a simmering jealousy, a feeling that festered into something venomous when I started dating Max in college. He was supposed to be mine until Eliza snatched him away in a whirlwind Vegas wedding during my senior year. The ultimate betrayal. Tucking Lily into bed, my mind replayed Eliza's call on a loop. Lucas entered the room, his arms instinctively wrapping around me from behind. Mind adrift, he asked softly. I melted into his embrace, letting out a shaky breath. I just can't wrap my head around it. Asking for money after everything, then having the nerve to call me jealous. Lucas cupped my face, his gaze steady. Want to talk about it? Everything that happened with Max and Eliza. Maybe letting it out will help. I'd offered a hesitant nod, while Lucas knew the bare bones. Sister Steele's boyfriend, Vegas wedding. The full story remained a raw nerve. Growing up, Eliza always simmered with envy. I began, my voice hushed. Apparently, being the smart, popular one with good grades and a thriving social life was a crime. When Max entered the picture's sophomore year, it furrowed the flames. She started hovering around him whenever he visited, flirting shamelessly right under my nose. At first, he didn't seem to notice, but slowly. I squeezed my eyes shut. She chipped away at him. I guess. One minute we were together, the next, he's dropping a breakup bomb. Then bam! A week later, news breaks that they eloped in Vegas. A flicker of anger crossed Lucas' face as he shook his head. She sounds like a real piece of work, Arya. I can't believe she put you through that. A lone tear escaped, tracing a path down my cheek. The worst part, she went and let it go. Constantly bragged about being better and happier than me. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Complete radio silence after the wedding, until today. Lucas' jaw clenched as he contemplated the situation. How about a little payback, love? His words caught me off guard. Payback. A mischievous glint lit up his eyes. As a detective, I have my ways. Contacts, information. What if we found out what Eliza's really up to? Because let's face it, sunshine and rainbows aren't exactly pouring out of her life if she's begging you for a 5-figure sum. Think of it as justice served. He tilted my chin up, his touch gentle yet firm. Maybe it's time she gets a taste of her own medicine. What do you say? The years of humiliation bubbled to the surface, a tempting cocktail of anger and intrigue. The image of Eliza's smug grin at her baby shower, demanding money like some entitled queen, sent a fresh wave of anger coursing through me. This time, though, it wasn't laced with self-pity. Instead, I met Lucas' gaze, my eyes burning with a newfound determination. Let's do this, I declared, the words sharp with resolve. The next morning, over breakfast, with Lily happily coloring in her book, I leaned forward, eager for the plan. So, what's the game plan, detective? I asked playfully. Lucas, a mischievous glint in his eyes, took a sip of his coffee. I made some discreet inquiries about Eliza and Max last night, waiting to hear back from my contacts. But trust me, if there's dirt to be dug, we'll unearth it. A knot of nervous excitement formed in my stomach, snooping on their lives, seeking revenge. It felt surreal. Lucas squeezed my hand reassuringly. Think of it as karma correction, not revenge, he said gently. A chuckle escaped my lips. Well, when you put it that way. My smile faded as seriousness returned. I wasn't kidding last night. Eliza deserves this after everything. She manipulated Max, destroyed our relationship, and shattered my trust. Justice is due, wouldn't you agree? As if on cue, Lucas' phone buzzed. He glanced down, then a knowing smile spread across his face. Interesting, he murmured. I leaned in, anticipation building, as he showed me a text. Got recent financials for E&M, he explained. Multiple suspicious payments from offshore accounts. Sending you the records now. This could be juicy. My heart pounded. What kind of mess had Eliza and Max gotten themselves into? Lily skipped over, beaming and holding up her coloring book. Mommy, look at my picture. Isn't it pretty? I ruffled her hair affectionately. Absolutely stunning, honey. Go play in your room for a bit, okay? Mommy and Daddy need to discuss something grown up. With a happy chirp, she disappeared. Lucas pulled out his laptop and opened the files from his contact. The screen filled with rows of numbers and transactions, making my head spin. Lucas whistled, a low surprise sound. Looks like these two have been busy bees, he remarked, scrolling rapidly. Lots of money flowing in from offshore accounts, just like my source said. His voice trailed off, and he furrowed his brow. But wait, they're also transferring significant sums out to various charities. Seriously, I snatched the laptop, scanning the lists of charities. Most seemed legit: sick kids hospitals, animal conservation groups. So they're laundering money through charitable donations. Disgust hardened Lucas' features. Seems that way, using good causes as a front for dirty money. Lowlifes. He cracked his knuckles, a dangerous glint in his eyes. Oh, they're going down for this. But first, he grasped my hand firmly. We're going to make them sweat. I have an idea. He'd whispered his plan, and a thrilling shiver ran down my spine. This perfect life Eliza had built, it was about to crumble, and this time, I'd be the one wearing the smug grin. Let's get my sister a taste of her own medicine, I declared, locking eyes with Lucas, our shared resolve burning bright. The game was on. The day of Eliza's baby shower arrived, a knot of nervous excitement twisting in my gut. Ready to rock this? Lucas asked as we climbed into his car, the secret weapon disguised as a gift bag resting on the back seat. Our little present, a generous $250 donation in Eliza's name to a charity supporting victims of fraud. Hopefully, it would spark some uncomfortable questions amongst her picture-perfect circle. Ready as I'll ever be, I replied, my voice laced with nervous energy. Let's go. We pulled up to the venue, a gaudy mansion that reeked of showmanship, naturally Eliza's style. Entering the cacophony of the party, I spotted her front and center, radiating a practiced pregnancy glow. My grip tightened on Lucas' arm. Time to peel back the layers. Eliza's smile, though bright, seemed hollow as she spotted us. Arya, you came, and with a gift. How thoughtful. Her words felt as fake as her smile. Max stood beside her, a mask of indifference on his face. Congratulations. I managed, the word tasting like ash in my mouth. Lucas simply nodded, its disapproval radiating. An awkward silence descended, punctuated only by hushed murmurs from the curious guests. Eliza's forced laughter echoed through the room. Well, don't be statues. Come on in, the gift unwrapping extravaganza awaits. We followed her to the designated area, my heart hammering in my chest. As Eliza snatched our bag with an eagerness that bordered on desperation, I held my breath. The second she glimpsed the charity certificate within, her entire demeanor froze. What's this supposed to be? She spat, a flicker of panic replacing the practiced smile. A donation to a worthy cause supporting victims of fraud. Lucas announced pointedly, we thought it would be a particularly fitting gift, given the circumstances. Eliza's eyes flared, and a collective gasp rippled through the crowd. What circumstances exactly are you insinuating? She hissed, her carefully crafted composure starting to crumble. Max, his face hardening into a mask of fury, stepped forward. Careful with your accusations, detective, he growled. Interesting, isn't it? Lucas boomed, drawing the attention of the stunned guests. Their defensive reaction makes one wonder what secrets they're so desperately trying to bury. A seed of doubt was firmly planted in the minds of the onlooking crowd. Inflamed with a mixture of rage and desperation, Eliza advanced towards us, her heavily pregnant form trembling precariously. This is outrageous. How dare you try and sabotage my shower with such vile insinuations? Her shrill voice echoed in the now silent room. Hurt and anger surged through me, propelling me forward. And how dare you waltz back into my life demanding money? I roared, my voice thick with emotion. As if you didn't already steal everything from me. Gasps of shock filled the air. Lucas reacted swiftly, placing himself between a lunging Eliza and myself. Her once impeccable facade lay shattered on the floor like discarded wrapping paper. With a final, withering glance at the stunned gathering, Lucas announced, "Looks like we've overstayed our welcome. Give our best to the soon-to-be parents." He then spun on his heel and whisked me away, leaving behind a trail of chaos, a bewildered couple, a questioning audience, and Eliza's carefully crafted reputation crumbling around her. Finally, it was her time to experience the sting of betrayal. As we sped away, a shaky breath escaped my lips. This was just the first act in our plan for retribution, but witnessing Eliza's humiliation had filled me with a sense of satisfaction far greater than I anticipated. The idea that she wouldn't escape unscathed brought a sense of liberation I hadn't felt in years. It was a new dawn, and for the first time, I truly believed in the possibility of justice. Later that night, nestled in bed with Lucas and the echoes of the baby shower clash still fresh in my mind, my phone buzzed incessantly with furious voicemails from Eliza. Each one was ignored, the adrenaline slowly fading from my system. Suddenly, Lucas' phone rang, and a jolt of apprehension ran through me as he glanced at the caller ID. "It's Nadita, my financial crimes contact," Lucas said, a flicker of anticipation crossing his features as he answered. I gnawed on my fingernail as he listened intently, the tension hanging thick in the air. Finally, he ended the call with a satisfied grunt. "Interesting development," he announced. "Seems our little intervention stirred the pot more than we expected." Apparently, some guests at the baby shower already harbored suspicions about Eliza and Max's shady dealings. I sat up straighter, a spark of hope igniting in my eyes. When did they find out? Lucas, a mischievous glint in his eyes, explained. Apparently, Max inexplicably came into a lot of money right around the time Eliza got pregnant, fancy new cars, a swanky new house, and no one could explain its source. And some of those funds seemed to be tied to money laundering activities. Fury bubbled up inside me. Of course, Eliza would drag Max down into her web of deceit. Do they have any proof? Nadia's chasing some leads, Lucas replied, his jaw hardening. If those funds were obtained illegally, we'll expose them. Just then, my phone vibrated with another incoming call, the caller ID flashing Eliza's name in bold red. Before I could hit ignore, Lucas gently took the phone from my hand. "Let's play a little game, shall we?" he said with a playful smirk, my heart thumping against my ribs. He answered the call, and I strained to hear the muffled shouting erupting from the speaker. Words like "destroy you" and "how dare" filtered through, punctuated by Lucas' amused chuckle. Once the tirade subsided, he spoke calmly into the receiver. "Finished with your outbursts, Eliza? Here's how things are going to play out." He hung up on a final ear-splitting scream, leaving me breathless. "This is actually happening," I stammered, my gaze locking with his. "We might actually bring her down." A surge of gratitude washed over me as I squeezed his hands tightly. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you for finally standing up for me, for facing my tormentor after all these years. With you by my side, I feel invincible. A tender smile graced his lips as he brushed a strand of hair from my face. Always, love. Family first, he declared, his voice firming with resolve. And right now, protecting our family is our top priority. The following weeks were a blur of activity as Lucas delved headfirst into the murky world of Eliza and Max's finances. Late nights were spent poring over cryptic records, coordinating with shady contacts, and chasing down elusive leads. The game was afoot, and the stakes had never been higher. Every time I peeked into Lucas' office, he'd be hunched over a massive whiteboard, furiously scribbling notes and connecting seemingly random threads with red string. Any breakthroughs, Sherlock? I'd tease, peering over his shoulder. Lucas, ever the detective, would just tap his nose with a sly grin. The pieces are falling into place, he'd assure me. But concrete evidence. We need that, and fast. A steely glint hardened his gaze. One evening, as we sat down for dinner, his eyes sparkled with excitement. He leaned in conspiratorially, lowering his voice so Lily wouldn't catch wind. Bingo! I found something big, he whispered. A paper trail leading Max straight to an offshore holding company. My stomach lurched in disgust. An offshore account? That's a dead giveaway. Shady money funneling in every week, bouncing around through fake charities, and then lining Max and Eliza's pockets. Exactly, Lucas confirmed. Money laundering for sure, and most likely fraud on top of it. There could even be dangerous people involved. He held up a hand before I could voice my concerns. But hold on, he cautioned, his expression turning serious. This is just circumstantial evidence, whispers in the dark. To really take them down, we need to get into Max's home office, access his computer. Risky, no doubt, but if I can snag some hard proof, account details, transactions, contact lists, then we can take it straight to the authorities and expose this whole rotten operation. A cocktail of apprehension and exhilaration bubbled within me. So, you're talking breaking and entering? I clarified, my voice shaky. Lucas squeezed my hand reassuringly, his gaze unwavering. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't crucial. Think of Lily, he reminded me gently. The mention of our daughter steeled my resolve. Protecting her is my top priority. Okay, let's do this. We meticulously planned the operation. Lucas would sneak into Max's office while Eliza was at her prenatal appointment and Max was at work. The next morning, my heart hammered a frantic rhythm against my ribs as I dropped him off a block away. He leaned in and kissed me deeply. See you soon, he murmured, with enough evidence to bury them for good. An hour later, a curt text arrived. Done. Relief washed over me, quickly morphing into a surge of adrenaline as the gravity of the situation hit me. Today was the day the house of cards Eliza and Max had built would crumble. Back in the car, my hands trembled as I reached into Lucas' jacket pocket, retrieving the manila envelope nestled discreetly within. Without a word, he passed it to me. My fingers fumbled with the clasp, finally revealing a treasure trove of incriminating evidence. Max's financial records, emails with dubious contacts, everything we needed to expose their web of lies. We did it! I breathed in awe. Lucas' grin mirrored my elation. Let's dismantle this charade, once and for all. To bring Eliza and Max down officially, Lucas enlisted the help of a trusted police captain, Mike. We filled him in on everything, presenting the incriminating evidence we'd gathered. His face grew grim as he scanned the documents. This is serious, he said gravely. Your family's tangled with some very dangerous people. We devised a sting operation to catch Eliza and Max red-handed. The plan was simple. When Max went to collect his next charity deposit, the cops would be waiting. That night, a whirlwind of emotions, anticipation, fear, and a sliver of triumph kept me wide awake. Lucas, ever the calming presence, soothed me with gentle touches, his kisses chasing away the nervous energy until sleep finally claimed me. The next morning, we ensured Lily's safety by dropping her off at my mother's place. Meanwhile, Lucas, Mike, and a team of undercover officers took their positions, staking out Eliza and Max's mansion with practiced efficiency. Finally, my phone buzzed with a one-word text from Lucas. "Go time." My fingers trembled as I dialed Eliza's number. Her voice, laced with suspicion, answered, "Hello." Taking a deep breath, I forced my voice into a neutral tone. "Eliza, it's Arya. I'd like to talk. Clear the air if possible. Are you open to it?" Lucas had prepped me on how to manipulate her, and after a long, tense silence, she sighed dramatically. "Fine," she conceded. "But come alone. Now, if you're coming at all." She slammed the phone shut before I could respond. A triumphant smirk played on my lips as I hung up. Hook, line, and sinker, I muttered under my breath, with a churning mixture of shock and nervous excitement. I drove to their mansion, rehearsing my lines over and over. The undercover cops were strategically hidden in unmarked vans, ready to pounce. As I walked up the familiar path and rapped sharply on the door, Eliza herself swung it open. Her once flat stomach strained beneath a prominent baby bump, and her eyes held a flicker of wariness. Well, she drawled. "You decided to grace me with your presence. Talk then." I cleared my throat, channeling my inner actress. "Eliza, listen. I'm sorry about the scene at the shower. Maybe I should have spoken to you privately instead of blowing up like that." Lucas had emphasized the importance of laying it on thick. A flicker of something that might have been appeasement softened Eliza's features. She stepped aside wordlessly, inviting me in, suppressing a triumphant smile. I crossed the threshold, the roar of blood in my ears momentarily drowning out everything else. She'd taken the bait. Now it was Lucas' turn. We settled across from each other on the plush couch in the living room, a space I'd helped decorate in happier times. Taking a fortifying breath, I launched into my carefully crafted script. "Eliza, there's one thing that's been on my mind. This money Max has, where exactly is it coming from? Look, I won't judge. I just want the truth." Eliza shifted under my gaze, a mix of nervousness and defiance flickering in her eyes. Finally, she spoke, her voice strained. "If you must know, Max has been consulting for some very influential people overseas." Code words tumbled from her lips: overseas clients, charity projects, consulting fees. With every phrase, my heart hammered a victory march in my chest. We had her dead to rights. Schooling my elation into a mask of understanding, I leaned forward. "That's wonderful, Eliza. I'm so happy Max found new work. We all have to do what we have to do, right?" Feigning sympathy, I patted her hand, ignoring the flicker of surprise that crossed her face. "Now, if you'll excuse me, may I use your restroom?" With measured steps, I weaved through the familiar halls of the mansion, a phantom returning to a forgotten past. My destination, the home office, where I knew the waiting officers would spring into action. Eliza trailed behind me, suspicion lacing her voice. "Why this particular bathroom? Mine's closer, you know." I paused dramatically before the study door, bracing myself for the imminent chaos. "You'll see in a moment," I announced cryptically, then threw the door open to a scene of controlled pandemonium. "Police, get down on the ground now." The prearranged signal echoed through the room, and officers swarmed in. A bewildered Max gaped at them from behind his computer as a startled Eliza shrieked in protest while being apprehended. Lucas emerged from the throng, his eyes searching for me. He crushed me in a supportive hug. "You were amazing, love," he murmured proudly before conferring with Mike. My legs turned to jelly as I watched Max and Eliza being led away in handcuffs, their ill-gotten wealth and social status crumbling before the force of justice. In the days that followed, Lucas and I provided detailed statements to the police, handing over the evidence that would seal their fate at trial, irrefutable proof of fraud, money laundering, and racketeering. Eliza hurled insults and threats my way until the very end, while Max glowered silently. The judge, however, was unmoved, sentencing them both to a decade behind bars. As Eliza was led away, her designer clothes and diamond rings offering scant comfort against the cold steel of the handcuffs, held my head high. She had lost everything. Her opulent mansions were sold, her bank accounts frozen, and her fair weather friends had abandoned ship. It was poetic justice, exactly what she deserved. Leaving the courthouse, arms linked with Lucas, we were besieged by a barrage of camera flashes. "How do you feel?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. Inhaling deeply, the crisp autumn air filling my lungs, I felt a sense of liberation I hadn't experienced in years. "It's finally over," I whispered. "She can't hurt me or anyone else ever again." A genuine smile spread across my face as I met my husband's gaze. "We won." He pulled me into a passionate kiss before tucking me under his arm protectively. "Celebration is definitely in order," he declared. Lily's waiting at home, eager to hear all about it. Later that night, after Lily had drifted off to sleep, Lucas uncorked a bottle of champagne, and we clinked glasses with a toast to new beginnings. "Your future is boundless now, free from the chains of a toxic past," he said softly. "We can start fresh. A new chapter for our little family." The future stretched before me, painted in hues of hope and tranquility. "This dark chapter can finally be closed for good," I mused. Eliza coveted my life, and now she must face the consequences of her insatiable greed. A flicker of pity crossed my mind. I almost feel sorry for her child. "Don't waste your compassion on them," Lucas chided gently, lifting my hand to his lips. "The only people who deserve your love and energy now are Lily and I." As I snuggled into his embrace later that night, a silent prayer of gratitude ascended to the heavens for this incredible man, my soulmate, the one who had guided me out of the darkness and back into the light. The future held nothing but promise, a future I would embrace with open arms alongside my precious family. A contented smile graced my lips as I drifted off to sleep. The nightmare finally over. The dawn of a new day had arrived. Thanks for watching and being part of this storytelling adventure. Click the subscribe button to support our storytelling channel.